What's good, YouTube? It's jazzlovesmma here, and I'm going to be talking about how the UFC has been feeding us slop. The last couple of weeks, I think since UFC 329, the UFC has been putting on, when I say shit cards, I mean cards when I go into the fight weeks, I am not that excited. There's not that many fights I care about, and there's not that many compelling matchups on the card. Whether the outcomes are good or not is not what I am talking about. To have a good fight is not to just have an entertaining fight. That's why all these slop, all these filler, I'm not going to use slop too much, I feel like the word is overused. All these filler Apex Fight Night cards, they're entertaining because it's not that hard to put on entertaining fights with the right matchups. But there's just no compelling matchups. Either it's one-sided beatdowns or that are supposed to set up a fighter, or they're scrappy, fun fights with just two fighters no one really cares about. I care about these random prelim fights. I do predictions every week. People who watch me, people who follow me on Twitter, they do the same. They care about these. Sometimes they might care about these random prelimers and stuff. I am here as someone who I agree with Jimbo Ortega, who is on my screen. We love Jimbo Ortega. Check out his YouTube. I'll put his YouTube in the description below, because I'm going to be talking about this as well. I can feel myself gradually losing interest in the UFC. Jimbo quote tweets, "I can happily say I don't feel this at all. I feel excited every day." I can't see what that says on OBS. "I feel very excitedly every day leading up to Saturday, no matter how shit the card is on paper. I eat my slop like a good boy, and I like it." And I know how I just said, I don't know if I just said this is my second recording, but I don't get excited going to the fight weeks. I do, because I like fights. There's fighters that I want to see. I get those feelings. Last week card, I was a bit harder, and it was also just a bit of a different week for me. Spent time with the family the whole week. It was my birthday week and stuff. But some of these other weeks, I'm going to fight weeks. I'm like, I don't really care about some of these fights, but I still know they might be exciting, and I still watch them all. I'm still there, and I don't want to miss a single fight. I don't want to miss a single round. Even if the fights are boring, I don't want to miss it. But that's because I'm an enjoyer of the UFC. I like the sport. I love watching MMA. Even if it's boring, I'll find a way to entertain myself. Whether it be, sometimes there's entertaining grappling. I'm going to go through some of the cards, and I'm going to go through some fights that I'm kind of describing while I talk about this. But a big issue I see with the UFC is they're just not putting compelling matchups, and I think they can. My issue with the UFC right now is not that there's too many cards, there's too many shit fighters. They need to be booking better fights. You can have, I love the Apex fight tonight. I love having a fight card every week. It makes my week so much better because it gives me something to look up to. Every Saturday gets completed with a good UFC card. If I have a good UFC card, I do good on predictions. It makes me feel good. I lead up. I'm like, oh man, I don't know who I'm going to pick for this fight. I don't know who I'm going to pick for this fight. And then Saturday comes, I'm like, I think I'm finally just leading this guy. Fight happens. Whether I get it wrong or not, it's exciting to me. It gives me enjoyment, even if they're raging. That's easy to do with the UFC, but they're just not putting these matchups. We have some of those matchups on this weekend's card that I'm going to be doing predictions for Wednesday, because I'm going to be doing Dana White Contender Series reactions every Tuesday until it ends. Yes, I will be doing that. Tune in. But that's not the point of this video. The UFC is just not putting on the competitive, compelling ranked matchups or the competitive unranked matchups. They're putting competitive unranked bum matchups on the fucking cards. We're gonna go through it now because I have it in a separate tab here. I'm gonna go through this weekend's. I'm gonna talk about the previous weekends that we've had, and I'm gonna talk about. I'm just gonna describe what I feel, because I just feel like the UFC. I can understand why people are losing interest. You know, sometimes it's a lot of fan favorites are losing. Some of these cards just aren't the most entertaining. Some people are only tuning in to the big cards. But we've also had some of the biggest cards this year. UFC 329 until the main event was fucking awesome. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. DDP versus Usman, fantastic card. The Serbia card, that was sick as fuck. I didn't go out on a run with my family because I was like, sorry, I want to stay inside and I want to watch these fights and I need to. These videos that I do, it helps me engage with the UFC cards even more. Gives me a reason to look forward to these cards even more. But what was I gonna say? We're gonna go into each fight card now. Shout out to Jimbo saying again. I'm stealing your tweet for this video, but yeah. UFC Makhachev versus Gary. This is a sick fight. This is a huge fight. This is a huge matchup. Ireland versus Dagestan too. The UFC can be promoting the hell out of this. But this is just another issue. The UFC doesn't promote their fights good enough anymore. Today's Monday. I'm like midday. I'm like, oh shit, Islam is fighting this weekend. That's a huge deal. Islam versus Gary is a huge deal. That's a huge fight. It's such a compelling, competitive matchup. It's not just a freebie for a champ or something. This isn't Moicano versus Islam. This is Islam versus Gary, a hyper-competitive fight with a hyper-competitive, trash-talky feel to it. Then you have the co-main, Mackenzie Dern, in the feature fight. Mackenzie Dern versus Julian Robertson. Is this a good title fight? Not really. I don't really give a fuck about this fight. Wei Lee should be here. But we have Julian Robertson. It's an interesting matchup, but it just feels like Dern is fighting a worse version of herself, and she should just win. It's still competitive. This is the first women's MMA fight of the title fight of the year. It's interesting. It's a somewhat interesting fight, but it should be Zhang Wei Li, not Wang. Thinking about Wang Kong. I saw another card that I was looking at. It's just imagine if this was Dern versus Wei Lee. That would make the card so much better. Then it just be no one really cares. I like Jillian Robertson. She's cool. She's cool grappling. Her finishing ability is pretty good on the ground. Wasn't shown against Lemos, but Lemos is tough to finish. I just think that this could have been a better fight. Then we look at this horrid fucking featured fight. I just saw it right now when I was scrolling down. What is this dude doing on the featured fight? Is this dude an industry plant? What are they doing? This dude should be on the prelims. Versus Stoltzfus, who was on the main card of UFC No Shade last year, and hasn't done anything since. It's like he's off a win. This isn't like a cool. This is a Cody. If this was Cody Brundage, if this was the rematch, I would understand it more. If this was the rematch of Cody Brundage, I would get it more than it just being Dustin Stoltzfus. I need to drink water. I'm talking so much. But this is a horror featured fight. I don't think this is actually the feature. There's no way this is the featured fight. No way that this is the featured fight. I refuse to believe it. I think the actual featured fight is below here. It's not even on the card. This is why I don't use the UFC fucking website. I think the actual featured fight is Jose Ochoa versus Charles Johnson. That's just outside the rankings matchup. I like that fight. If Charles Johnson was ranked, I would prefer it I would have preferred it on the main card. I would have preferred it being the featured fight, but Johnson isn't ranked anymore. Honestly, just get him ranked. Just get Charles Johnson ranked. Kick Tagir out the rankings. I made multiple videos rambling about that. Just get Tagir out the rankings. What the fuck is he doing there? But I don't mind Ochoa versus Johnson on the main card. And I understand that Chidi Njokuani was supposed to be fighting Jeff Neal. And that was a ranked matchup. But this is still a sick fight. It's a sick fight. But it just doesn't mean anything. I think this is good matchmaking. I think it's better. Wait, Jeff Neal wasn't even ranked. Never mind, that wouldn't have even been a ranked matchup. These are good fights, but it's just, where are the ranked fighters? Where are the ranked fighters? This is in Philadelphia. Sean Brady, you were talking about how there are no Philadelphia fighters on this card. Where are you? Where's Joe Pyfer? Where is Pat Sabatini? Where are you guys? I feel like you guys could have been on this card. I made a video matchmaking these fights. Brennan Allen versus Pyfer could have been on here. Amosov versus Sean Brady could have been on there. I think they were on the same card of UFC 328 or something like that. Whatever Strickland versus Combat was. I think they were both on the same card. They both took pretty much 0 damage. Get right back in there. Get right back in there. They should have fought on this card. It seems like Amosov versus Morales might happen. And speaking of Morales, where the fuck is Carlos Prates versus Morales? Just get that fight booked instead of this stupid short notice backup thing with Morales. Just make the fight. Have them on here. And if someone pulls on the main event, that's when you get one of those guys on there. Instead of having a short notice, just put the fight on the card. Prates versus Morales on the card. Perfect title eliminated for two guys who think they're deserving. Are we just now going to have two guys sit out for no reason? Morales couldn't wait for no reason. Maybe one of those guys pull out. But whatever. But this is a great fight. It should be on the main card instead of fucking Mansour Abdul Malik versus Dustin Solstice. Barboza versus Esteban Revovich. This is going to get to my point I said earlier about the fighters they have aren't bad. They're just booking them wrong. Ribovix is a decent name. He has a fan base. I'm a fan of Ribovix. But why are we putting him here? This is just for him to get a highlight and a free win on a main card of a pay-per-view. Or not of a pay-per-view, but of a numbered event. Why can't we just get a sick fight between two just outside the rankings guys like him? Chris Duncan Ribovix is a sick fight. It's way better. And I think it would make way more sense than just giving him such a step down in competition after losing to Gamma. Obviously, maybe it's not the best loss anymore. You know, Esteban got dominated. Well, Gamma just got dominated by Soundkill, but point still stands. There are better fights for Ribovix other than this layup of Barboza. Barboza, you could give an unk for a retirement fight. Then the prelims, Turner vs. Colway Fernandez is a great matchup, but you could put this on the main card. The main card just needs a one-ranked fight. Dante Johnson versus Eric McConaughey, this is just a layup. It's like on paper layup. It's probably going to be more competitive than it should be. Luke versus Gore. Great fight. I don't mind it. Gore is whatever. Rafael, these are early prelims, but what is Magny versus Brahimaj doing? These are guys like pretty much just outside the rankings, or just right below that like area of like right up below 25 to 15. They're in that range of like 25 to 30. Brahimaj and Neil Magny. Get them high on the card. Orobai got offered Leon apparently, and he was supposed to be in this card. Where the fuck are you, Leon? What are you doing? Now we have Jeremiah Wells versus Orobai? Couldn't just gotten someone else ranked for Orobai? This could be a competitive fight. But on paper, it's just a layup. Look at the odds, minus 750. That's a whatever fight. Minus 225. Honestly, they actually have the odds pretty well there. I thought it'd be higher. It's just... These are good fights. This is going to be an entertaining card. It's going to be proven to card of the year. People are saying this card is bad. I feel like when fans say these cards are bad, it is not that the cards have absolutely zero name value. This card has tons of name value. Turner versus Kelly Fernandez, Chidi Njokwani versus Joe Alvarez on short notice. Great fights, great name value, all top to bottom. But there are no fights that necessarily matter. We need some more ranked fights. And when you're putting the main card like this, it deteriorates what a good card could look like. And that is another issue that I'm going to talk about with some cards coming up. I think, not the next one, but the one after the Serbia card. I'll just go right into that one after here. You can open the card up with Ribovix, Edson, Barboza, Chidi Njokwani versus Joe Alvarez, Turner versus Kawhi Fernandez, and then fucking kick out Malik versus Stoltzfus, and maybe open up the prelims with, or end the prelims with Magny versus Brahimaj. You know? This card was just pure filler. This was just a filler card to get a card out, just to fill in the numbers. Look at this fucking featured fight. Look at this co-main. What are we doing, UFC? This is the same as Barboza versus Edson, just to get someone a free win and get our old man retired. This was a decent fight. This was a good booking. This was a decent fight, but it was seen as a layup for Ty Miller, but still a good fight. Pat versus Aspinall, seen as a layup. This was whatever. You see, this is just like a fight that's like, why? There's two guys no one cares about. You could be matching them up with better opponents. But this was fine. Bottom of the barrel matchup. This was a good unranked lightweight matchup. It's just, you see, these are all good prelim fights. This was a nothing. This was short notice, but it was supposed to be. Who was it supposed to be? Who the fuck was Miles Johnson supposed to fight? I did a whole prediction thing on it. This fight was supposed to fight someone. I don't remember. This is the bottom of the barrel matchup. And this was short notice, but this was a good fight. These are good fights. It's just none of these matter. And then look at this being card. Get this far. Like, this is such a good main event for such a shit co-main. Like, these guys aren't even just outside the rankings. They're way below that area. Get like 2 ranked fights on this card, or at least 1. Like a male ranked fight, because the WMA fights, they just feel unranked when it comes into build-up. Medish versus D-Rod. Awful main event. Not talking about the outcome, but on paper, an awful main event. 14-15, who cares? Blachowicz versus Sterling was a good fight. Short notice, and Sterling was just kind of randomly bumped up into this. I didn't mind Brakic versus Tybura being the featured fight. What the fuck is Todorovic versus Valentin doing on a main card? What are these guys doing here? What the fuck is a debuting Vlasto Shebo doing against a fucking 7-4, 7-5 Gilbert Urbina? These debutants on this card. Get Klein versus Tofik Masayev on there. Oban Ali was a guy just outside the rankings. Get him versus Oliveira on there. Get Rebecca, dude, who's a huge name, known for wars. Maybe because he's a fucking minus 800 against Kyle Preblick. But you could even have him open up the card. The main card. Then these prelims. Alexander Propik, bro. This is just a layup to get a Serbian a win. Luciano's good, but she's fighting a debutant. She shouldn't be fighting a debutant. She should be fighting like near rankings, outside of rankings. I think this was short notice. So whatever, I give it a pass. I know it's a decent fight. Nikolic is pretty good of a prospect. But then you have these debutants here. Why are these fights on the main card? Get Klein, Tofik Masayev, and Oban Ali versus Michael Oliveira. And the card looks good. And the card looks better. For a lackluster main event, get the card looking good, and that's fine. You have the ranked versus ranked, ranked versus ranked, ranked versus ranked fights, and then you just add slop on it, and you ruin the way it looks. What was this one? I think this was Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi. How do you remember what this card was? Ursik Temirov. This feels like more of a featured fight. This could have been a featured fight. We also had Cunha versus... You see, 3 fucking ranked fights. This maybe shouldn't have been in the featured fight, but Chanko's a decent name. And then what are these guys doing on the main card, man? This was even on the main card. It should have been. It wasn't. Walter Walker versus Peterson honestly should have been on there. Jacoby is a dude who's barely borderline ranked. Having him versus Haidov open up the main card maybe would have been good instead of having fucking Abu Bakar Vagaev versus Saigir Izak Mahayev. This was seen as a fucking washout fight going into this. Who is Tuchelov, bro? He wasn't even that good of a prospect. This honestly could have been higher on the card. It was a shit fight, but still it should have been higher. I don't mind this opening on the card. But it's like, this was a blowout. This was seen as just a layup for Patterson. Walter Walker. Should have been a lot. It was the layup. It was seen as. It was seen as more competitive because Walker's still unknown and Peterson has somewhat shown skills that could have caused issues. But the Walker sub was still there. This was, on paper, a good fight for an unranked, outside the rankings matchup. Just what is this fight hogging up a spot on the main card for? Kick it out and get one of these two fights on there. And then the main card looks good. Maybe drop this one below, get this one higher. So just switch these two, and it's fine. But Chunko's a big name. He trains with Islam. It's whatever. These cards are honestly better than what I thought, but the prelims are shit. I have the results in my head. I know all these guys. I look at these fights and I'm like, I know these guys. I know all these matchups. I was intrigued by most of these matchups. But they're still bad. Still blowouts. Oh my god, DDP, what did they do to you? I forget about this poster. This was just after the McGregor card. On paper, two great main event. Decent. This just has featured fight feels, and then you have Tabichi Richie versus Fatima Klein. Klein is the rising prospect. Good. This was a hyped up. This was perfectly placed. But then you just have this feature fight that ruins it. It's a layup for True Super, and it was. Why not just get a better fight on here? Both these guys are just outside the rankings. This was beautiful fight, beautiful matchmaking for this card. This was whatever. These were two debutants. This is just a blowout. This was seen as competitive, but it's just two heavyweights no one gives a fuck about. And this is another blowout, and that's just an issue. We just have a couple blowouts. But there's compelling matchups. It's just then you ruin what is seen as compelling matchups by stacking it under slop like this. Hooper could be getting better matchups. Ramirez should be cut. These are great matchups that you could have had on the main card if you're going to do that. 3 ranked matchups. Wonderful. That's what every fight night should have. This had the 3 ranked matchups. This also had, I think, the 2 at 3. It had the 3, but then you ruin it with these 2 cards just hogging up spots on the main card. This was just pure slop. This is just pure filler. Darren Oaken's future fight. This co-main is just awful. Decent ranked matchup here. Billy Ray Goff versus Timeout. Don't mind on the main card. Maybe even get Aspen, but just get Aspen a better fight. This was just seen as a layup for him. Louis Sutherland, fucking A. This was a somewhat compelling matchup. This is seen as a wash. Seen as a wash against 2 of the lowest level WMA fighters they could have gotten. A decent matchup. And then you just ruin good, like, they're entertaining. These are entertaining fights, but when you look at them, it's like, no ranked matchups. And then it's just another case of, what are you stacking these cards for? And then you just ruin it with shit. This is shit. Get this out of the featured fight. I know it's not, but on the UFC website, if you're going to have the UFC website look like this, fix it before it just makes your card look like shit. Blowout. Could have been a better fight. Great fight. I like it. And if then you ruin it, it's like, okay, well, this fight should have been lower. Great fights. These are great fights just outside the rankings. But it could have used more. It's a numbered event. The fight nights, whatever. The fight nights would look good. It had shit matchups on it. It had weird placements on it. But this is a pay-per-view numbered event. Not a pay-per-view, but a numbered event. They should be doing more. They should be getting the ranked fighters on this. They should be putting better matchups and not like wash matches. There's competitive matchups on here, but they should be doing better. They should be promoting better. It's hard to promote a D-Rod versus Medic card when you're just laying up Medic for a win. That's why it's hard to sell it, because it's not main event worthy. It's hard to sell Ankalaev versus Guskov because not only is it short notice, it's just not a compelling matchup. And Guskov isn't a main event fighter. Duplessis versus Usman should have been promoted more. There's bad blood there. It could have been hyped up more by the UFC. I was hyped for it. I was like, oh man, what if DDP just gets smudged? But it could have been promoted far better. The Africa King thing, the true African champ thing could have been brought up in promotion. Usman had words to say about that back in the day. Could have brought that up for this card, but no. This was a compelling matchup. It's stuck on an Apex card, whatever. And then it's just put with shit matchups under it. This is a top fight. This is probably one of the most interesting fights of the year we've had. And then you ruin its main card by doing stuff like this. It has good fights on it. And then it just has shit placement. That's another issue. Shit placement. And just non-compelling matchups. We have good fight cards coming up. These aren't fully updated. That's a good main event. Sick main event. I'm not even looking at the undercards because the main point is the undercards of these fight nights. This is a sick main event that they just chose to stack out of nowhere. Yair versus Silva, ranked fights. Brandon Moreno versus Joseph Morales, who was ranked at some point, and a former UFC fighter. Great matchup. McMillan versus Rahiki. It's going to have a great build-up. Another ranked fight. Mana Fiora versus Alexa Grasso. Great fight. Waldo Cortez versus Blades. Ranked matchup. Hell yeah. Top 10 David Martinez versus Dan Ige. Yeah. There's more ranked matchups on this card than there were on the previous. There's more ranked matchups on this card than the entirety of. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 ranked matchups on this card so far, and that's more matchups, just pure matchups, than there are ranked number of fighters on UFC Serbia. Abu Dhabi, or the same amount as Abu Dhabi, Serbia, OKC, and way more than what the Apex card this past weekend just had. Fight nights can be stacked like this. The UFC just chooses not to, and they have fighters just be inactive for no reason and stuff. And it's just ruining the product, and it's ruining how fans see it. I like the UFC. I am always excited for all these cards. I sit here every weekend, make videos about it. I get hyped for it. I'm there in the morning thinking about, I'm going to watch these fights. Oh, I already wonder how these fights are going to go. But the matchups can be better. They can be done better. The cards can be built better. We have had slop matchups on these cards that you could just change. You can cut some guys, but they choose not to. Like this, if it will load, is a pure definition of a slop matchup. Francisco Prado versus Artur Moniz. Bro, who is this dude? I know who he is. He lost to, he's on the, what's his name? He's a great prospect. I think Grant? Something Grant. In the Apex, he got finished in there. Like, why? Why is this matchup? Just cut one of them. Just cut both of these guys, actually. What's this one? I don't even know what I had up here. I don't remember. I've been rambling too long. Okay, it doesn't want to show. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just wanted to ramble about this a little bit. Looking at it, the card, you can have entertaining matchups. The matchups just can be better. I think 3 ranked matchups per fight night is fine. Should some of these be higher? Yes. All these fight nights should be doing what John Silva versus Rodriguez card, UFC Noche, should be like. The main card should be full of ranked matchups. Get all these shit fights, all the unranked matchups. I didn't even talk about the undercard of Noche, and it's a sick undercard. It has wash matchups, but it's a good prelim. The main card is not ruined by any shit matchups on there. And that's what some of these cards suffer. And it's what this pay-per-view is suffering from. Where are the ranked fighters that can be on this card? You're not having all these ranked guys. Fight night, main event these fight nights. Brady versus Amosov is main eventing a fight night. You can just put it on this card. Brendan Allen, Piper is not main eventing a card. They could have just put this on here, but they'll put it somewhere random, like Vegas or something. I can see them putting Amosov versus Brady in fucking Abu Dhabi for some reason. It just, the UFC makes 0 sense. And they could have just been putting in these great fights on these cards. They don't book the right matchups. They don't promote these matchups. They're not booking title eliminators when they need to. It just doesn't make sense. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video of me rambling. Maybe I contradicted myself in some points. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Dana White's Consider Series tomorrow. Make sure you catch my video then. Follow me on Twitter, jazzlovesmma, if you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed it. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow and Wednesday. And if I make another video again, catch you all then. Peace.